Andriy, thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
Listen, I want to begin with the missile system that Canada has now delivered to Ukraine. It's been 2 years in the making, and I appreciate the fact that Ukraine always expresses gratitude for the weapons and military support that Ottawa offers the country. But are you at all frustrated with the timeline that it took 2 years to deliver the missile system?
Well, in this specific case, we know the complexity of this specific deal, and we know some of the reasons that made it slow. Again, we are very grateful for this happening. We badly need that. But overall, as you can imagine, there is a lot of frustration when important decisions are taken this long, especially when it comes to political decisions, because there are technical things that you cannot move faster. You need 9 months to deliver a baby, you know. But when it comes to a political decision, and all you need is just your will, leadership, courage, and when you don't have it, then it's frustrating. Not in this specific case.
Not in this specific case, but you talk about political will, and of course there's been a number of different decisions since the war began that have been taken by allied countries. Do you fear that your allies, as much as they wish Ukraine well, do you fear that your allies do not have the sense of urgency that Ukrainians need them to have?
Sometimes, and we understand it's a very complex matter, so I think there is a growing feeling of urgency, but also there is a growing feeling of complexity of decisions. But here is a fact. If you look at the way we fight the war right now, we have the F-16s, we have the Patriots, we have the Leopards, we have all the 155 artillery systems, but most of those systems, it took us months, sometimes years, to convince our friends, our allies, that we badly need them to survive and to win the war. Just think how different this war could have been if we had all the support, all the weapons that we asked for from the very beginning. I think we would live in a very different situation right now. So having said that, we never take anything for granted. We always look for the proper arguments to take them to our allies, to explain why this is important and why this is a common cause and not just the fight that Ukraine is fighting.
A common cause, in part because when we look at Russia's war effort, in many ways the sanctions have been imposed on Russia, but because of China's involvement and it's essentially now North Korea's involvement through China, that does complicate the war for Ukraine, does it not?
And we can even continue that line. It's not just the North Korean soldiers that are already in the Ukrainian land, but also we can think about Belarus, we can think about the Red Sea, we can think about the Strait of Taiwan. And when you think of all the events together, I think it's very clear that we see some nations, we see 4 specific nations that coordinate their efforts and they're trying to destabilize the world, and they're trying to change the international order. So that's why we should finally acknowledge and appreciate the complexity of this situation. It's not just about Ukraine. I think we should really see this as a complex, very complicated situation, and we should take it very seriously.
Yeah, when you talk about the 4 countries, we're talking about China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea.
Absolutely.
Those being the 4 countries that you say are trying to destabilize the world. So that said then, you know, it does raise another issue for me, and that has to do with the American missile system that has been given to Ukraine, the so-called ATACMS, because not only do you have this missile system, you now as a country have permission from the Biden administration to use this American missile system on targets within Russia. How important is it for Ukraine to not only get weapon supplies, but weapon supplies that do not come with conditions?
I think it's critically important. The way this war is unfolding, you've got to use, you cannot fight this fight with just one hand that you have and the other hand behind your back. And in this specific case, I would say it was a very weird and exotic political decision from the very beginning, just to, when you give someone a weapon, but to say you just don't use it the way you should. It took us some time to build trust. I think that's important. It's good that finally we have enough trust and enough confidence in our cooperation that allows us to use those weapons. But again, if you're asking about frustration, if you ask me, could we have done better on this? Yes.
Of course, we're now going to deal with the new administration. Come January 20th, Donald Trump will once again become the U.S. president. He's promising to end the Ukraine war day one. Do you fear that means that your country will be pressured into making territorial concessions?
There is a risk of that, and we should understand that a quick peace would mean bad peace for Ukraine. On the other hand, I think we do believe that with the new administration we can find some good ways how we can move forward. We've dealt with this president in his first term, and we really hope that he might bring some energy into this, some new energy, some new creativity. We need that. No one has a silver bullet how to end this war right now. So we will work with this administration, and we hope this will work well for us.
Do you think it will end in negotiation, or is your hope that he will allow Ukraine to continue to defend itself?
Depends what we mean by negotiation. And you and me, we understand that if we're talking about ceasefire just for the purpose of ceasefire, then it doesn't serve anything good. You just give more time to the Russians to bring more force and more evil on our land. We know that before you go into the negotiation, you should enter with a strong hand. So if you want to see Ukraine and Russia negotiating for a good, proper, sustainable peace, we'd better make sure that Ukraine and the free world goes into this negotiation with full strength, with very strong hand. Then we have a much better chance to get good, sustainable deal. It's not just about ceasefire. It's not just about stopping the shooting. We want sustainable peace. We want to make sure that at least for 20, 30, 40 years, our part of the world, the whole world, can live in peace. We need to make sure that we strip Russia of its attack capabilities. That's our major goal.
Now, it's been noted that we've now passed the 1,000-day mark since this phase of the war began, and of course, many people started measuring it much long before that, when Russia moved into Crimea.
From 2014, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So what is your message now? Because there are certain quarters in countries like the United States, like Canada, where people are questioning the amount of money and support being given to Ukraine. What do you say to those people?
Well, we want to see this as an investment into peace and security. If you want to see this peace as a safer place, it's good to invest into Ukraine's victory. If you want to see this world democratic, and our part of the world specifically democratic with good governance, then it's a good idea to invest into Ukraine's victory. We are doing this not just for ourselves. I believe, again, because of this interconnectivity of the wars, of the fighting, of the conflicts around the world, that it's not just about us. It's about really solving this global tension. And I think we are very lucky to have this solidarity with the allies, including Canada. It's very genuine solidarity, it's very genuine support. But also we should understand there are plenty of very pragmatic, practical reasons why we should work together. It's not a waste of money. It's not charity. It's a very good, practical, smart investment into security, into a better world tomorrow.
Andriy Shevchenko, thank you for the time.
Thank you, Michael.